Hi guys, it's Tracy. Welcome back to my channel. I haven't made a video for you in a few weeks now and I apologise for that, but today's video should make up for it as it is quite a long video. I am making some alcohol ink backgrounds and I'm turning them into these cards. I'm going to show you the alcohol ink backgrounds being made and also the process involved making these cards. I have not used alcohol inks before, so this was a first for me, and I did have a little play before this video just to get the feel for it. Now I'm using Yupo paper here, and you get it in packs of 10, 5 inches by 7 inches. I cut those 5 inch by 7 inch sheets down to 3.5 by 5. Now Yupo paper is a synthetic paper which the alcohol inks take very well to. They don't soak in, which they would do on normal cardstock. This is the alcohol ink cardstock, and it's basically a glossy card. I didn't actually use any of this in this video, but I wanted to show you that you can get this as well. And it comes in sheets of 4.25 by 5.5 inch in the packet there. I've also got here a straw, which I'm going to use to blow the alcohol inks around. And of course, here are my alcohol inks and the alcohol blending solution that you use. In this little spray mist bottle, I have some isopropyl alcohol, which you can put into these spray misters. You cannot put the blending solution into it, only the isopropyl alcohol, which is also rubbing alcohol. It's the same thing. Let's get started on our alcohol ink backgrounds and have some fun. I've got my first sheet of Yupo paper here. And I've got 3 colours, which is sailboat blue, mermaid and stream. And I'm just splattering them around there on the card. There's no rhyme nor reason to what I'm doing. I'm just letting it do its thing. And then I come in with some aqua and blow it around a little bit with the straw. Moves the alcohol ink around a little bit, which can create different looks. And then I've got some cloudy blue because I want to start filling in some of these white areas. Then I decide to put some alcohol blending solution on, and what that does is it seems to lighten it up a little bit. And then I'm going to spray it with some isopropyl alcohol. Put some more sailboat blue on there. Blow it around with the straw. More blending solution. The blending solution makes it a bit lighter and sort of spreads it out a bit further. Now I'm just putting a few more bits of sailboat blue there just to fill in some of the white gaps and blow it around a little bit with the straw. And I'm actually really happy with how that one's turned out. So I set it aside to dry. They don't take very long to dry at all, only a few minutes. Now onto the card that I'm going to be doing with this background, and I've already pre-prepared my things here. And I've got the word hugs, which is a birch pressed design die, and I've die cut it 3 times from white cardstock. And I'm going to stack them on top of each other. And I'm using Gina K Connect glue to do that. And I'm taking care to make sure that they are lined up on top of each other properly. Stacking your die cut words like this gives them more dimension and makes them stand out a little bit more on your card. And that's a little tip that I picked up from Jennifer Maguire. So I'm just sticking the last layer on here, making sure that it all lines up correctly. And I'm going to set that aside to dry. So I'm going to go ahead now. I've got a piece of craft foam and I'm going to glue the alcohol ink background to this foam piece, and that gives it a little bit more dimension on the card. So I'm making sure that it's stuck down properly. And now I'm going to go ahead and attach this hugs to its shadow background, which I cut from vellum. So I'm applying the glue to the back of the word there. And sticking it down onto the shadow background. As I said, that's cut from vellum. So once that's dry, I set that aside and I work on putting that foam mounted alcohol ink background onto another layering piece. And I'm using glue and I'm going to layer it onto a piece of black. Pushing it down, making sure it gets a good hold. and it's stuck down well. And now I'm going to glue that to the front of my actual card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch, and it's just white cardstock. So taking care to line it up so that it's straight, and using glue gives you a little bit more wiggle room to make sure things are aligned properly. Push it down. And set it aside a little to dry. Now I'm going to apply the word hugs, and because it's on vellum, I can only put the glue on basically where the back of the word is, and not on the actual where it can show through the vellum. So I'm just putting the adhesive on there, and I'm going to stick that down where I want it on the card. Push it down. And move on to my secondary sentiment. I went ahead and heat embossed To You From Me, which is from Concord and Ninth, one of their stamp sets, and I white heat embossed it on black card. And I'm going to pop that up with some foam tape and stick it onto the card. I fluff around a little bit here, trying to get it lined up properly, but I get there in the end. And I'm happy with how that's looking. And I decide to put some sticky bling on there, 3. And in the final picture you actually see another smaller sequin placed just under those bigger sequins. Just added a bit more to it, I thought. And that's that card finished. On to the next background. For this background I wanted to do a rainbow effect, so I'm applying the inks directly onto the Yupo paper. And I'm using watermelon, sunset orange, sunshine yellow, patina, sailboat blue and purple twilight. And what I'm doing here is I'm tilting the card from side to side, and I'm liking the way the ink is falling and the effect that it's giving on this one. And I keep tilting it until all the white space on the card is gone. And you can see how inky my fingers are getting. I should have wore gloves, but never mind. Now that that background is dry, I get a stitched rectangle die and I cut that out. And then I get my alphabet dies and get the letters hello. Excuse my head in the way there. And I'm taking care here to line them up using one of my Misty Creative corners to get it straight. And I'm doing an eclipse card here. Now I've not done one of those yet, so this video is a couple of firsts for me. And I get some purple tape and I'm going to put the dies directly onto it like that. And then I take it away and die cut it off camera. I also off camera use these Express It black foam sheets and I die cut the hello out of that as well. It was very sticky. And what I do here is I put the letters that were cut out of the rainbow background and I stick them to the black foam pieces. I'm just checking that my centre of my O is good. And then I go ahead now and I stick that rainbow background onto some black cardstock with double-sided tape. I apologise if you can hear wind or birds. It's a bit of a windy day here today and I'm in my craft room. So I apologise for the background noise. Don't lose the centre of my O. Stick that down, making sure it's straight. And then I go ahead and I stick the die cut letters into those areas that were cut out by the die, like a die cut inlay, but the letters are popped up on the foam tape. So I'm just finishing the inlaying here of the black popped up foam pieces, taking care to do it as precisely as I can. With the centre of the O, you don't pop that up. That just gets glued directly down onto the base card. So I'm taking care just to pop that in. And I'm liking how this is looking, very dimensional and colourful. And now it's time to layer this up onto some other layering pieces, and I'm layering it now onto a piece of silver cardstock. But I just wanted the top and the bottom of the silver to show through, not on the sides. And then I layer it onto a piece of white, and I'm using white because on the secondary sentiment that I'm going to put on there, it's going to be white embossed onto a black piece of card. So I wanted to tie the white in. Doing the same here, just having it show through at the top and the bottom of the silver. And now I'm going to go ahead and stick this down onto the base card, which is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch. And I'm using double-sided tape here. I should have used glue, but never mind. It makes it a little bit harder to align it. And this was a little trick that I picked up from Natasha Foote on her YouTube channel, to do the tape like this so that you can center it up as best you can. It'll sort of grab in the middle, and then you can slide those pieces out and it sticks the rest down for you. It's a very handy tip I picked up. And now onto the sentiment, and you can see that I've already gone ahead and white heat embossed the word "there" onto some black card. So my card will now say "hello there." And there's nothing really taking away from the alcohol ink background. There, and I'm very happy with how that one's turned out too. Hello there. Now onto the next background, another piece of Yupo paper, and I'm going to town with some blue here and patina, twilight purple, and I'm just letting that sit and do its thing. And I think I come in with some stream or mermaid, one of the two. I think it's mermaid. And I don't do anything else with this one. Oh, there's the darker one there. I don't do anything else with this, I just let it sit. So I'm trying to fill in a few of the spots that are a little bit white, and then I'm going to put some more purple in because I decided that the bottom of that card needed a bit more purple. And then that was it. I liked how that looked. And onto the card that I'm going to make with that background. I use this maze, it's from Neat and Tangled, and I die cut it from the alcohol ink background. And then I got 6 pieces of white cardstock and stacked them on top of each other after die cutting that die out of it. And I mounted it onto a piece of silver cardstock. And this is how the card's going to look with a bit of acetate underneath. I'm turning it into an actual maze that you can move it around and things inside move. So I've got my acetate here, and I'm going to adhere it to the back of the alcohol ink background using 1/8 inch double-sided tape. So I'm just sticking that down after I trim it a little bit. And I'd gone ahead on the turquoise piece of card there and stamped "You're Amazing" and silver embossed it. And on the front of the alcohol ink background I actually put "Start" and "Finish." I silver embossed it. It's a little bit difficult to see on the camera, but it is there. And I'm lining things up here to make sure it's looking good. The acetate has been stuck to the alcohol ink background. And now it's time to stick this piece down. And I use glue for this so that I can have a little bit of wiggle room as I'm putting it onto the base card, which is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch. And it's a lovely turquoise colour cardstock, which matches into the alcohol ink background. So I'm sticking that down, making sure it's got a good hold. See, I've finished on that one and start up the top there, and I stuck a star on there. And inside the maze I used these little crystals that I had in my stash, little clear crystals. And they moved around quite well inside the little channels of the maze there, so I used 5 of those in there. And I'm now removing the release tape from the double-sided tape, and I'm going to stick the top of the maze on. There we go. All the little gems inside moving around nicely. You're Amazing, and that comes from the My Favourite Things stamp set, the You're Amazing, as well as the Start and Finish stamp that I used as well. And that's that card finished. And now on to the next card, and I've got another piece of U-Paper paper here, and I'm using Eggplant alcohol ink and Purple Twilight. And I'm coming in with some pink sherbet to fill in some of the white spaces, and also some raspberry. And there's a lot of ink on here now, but I go ahead and put some blending solution on to lighten things up a little bit. And those dark areas show that there's a lot of ink, so I pick it up and I start to move it from side to side to let the ink cascade down, and I'm liking the way this is looking, and it's giving me an idea of what I'm going to do with this alcohol ink background when I turn it into a card. So I'm just taking some paper towel there just to sop up the excess ink. Clean my mat, set it aside to dry, and I've got this die set from My Favourite Things, and it's a double, not a double, it's a slider card, and it's a cake. And I liked the way that the alcohol ink, it looked like icing dripping, and that's what gave me the idea for this card. So this piece here with the channel cut out of it, I actually embossed that with some dots, with a dot embossing folder. And now I'm putting some double-sided tape onto some craft foam, because that's going to pop up the area either side of the channel there. And that's where the slider tab goes, that's attached to the top part of the cake. Here's the slider tab, and I'm checking to make sure that it's working properly in the channel. And you can see a piece of foam tape there, that's what the top tier of the cake gets attached to. And you can see the base card at the top there, I've put some purple glitter card on it. I went ahead and did that. So I'm lining things up here. Now I've got the cake here, I've already stuck the bottom tier down, and now I'm working on the top tier because that's the piece that's going to move. So I'm attaching that now to the slider tab, taking care to get it in there correctly. And I love the way the alcohol ink background looks like icing. I'm just making sure everything's moving correctly. And it's time to stick this piece down now. Making sure that everything's straight. And that the slider tab part works, which it does. And now it's time to go ahead and stick some candles on the cake. which I'd already gone ahead and coloured. And that's working quite well. I was going to put a sentiment on that top tier so that when you pulled it up, the sentiment would come up, but then I thought it would cover up the alcohol ink effect that was on the cake, so I just left it. On the top there, I'm going to put the word slide. I'm going to stamp it on there from the Lawn Fawn set, the Push Me set. It's a little tiny slide. So I stamped that on there with a Memento Tuxedo black ink. Have a practice and then go for it. Put the stamp back because I don't want to lose it. Really happy with that, how it's working. And then I went ahead and cut out Happy Birthday from some of the alcohol ink background, and I laid that up on 3 white pieces as well, just to give it some dimension so it would stand out a bit on the card. And I went ahead and glued that down. I also stuck some bling on there just to give the card a little bit of extra interest on there. But I don't think it takes away from the alcohol ink background that I used on the cake. And I was super happy with how this card came out. Put some aqua shimmer pen onto the candles on the flame and also the bottom part of the candle just to give it a bit of a lift. And I think you can see it when I pick up the card, a little bit of shimmer there. Lovely. And look at that, 1 tier, 2 tier. And I noticed one of my, didn't actually stick one of the sequins down, so I had to go back in and do that. Done. And now moving on to the next card, some more Yupo paper. And I think I used nearly every colour I had here. I just put it all willy-nilly. No rhyme, no reason, just put it wherever. Bring in some yellow and some orange. Bit more of the green. And some raspberry. And twilight purple. I think I'm using watermelon there. Then I decide this is all a bit too bright, so I hit it with some blending solution and it kind of takes it away, and I'm starting to see confetti in my head. So my brain's starting to work what I'm going to do with this alcohol ink background when I'm done. So I go and I start wiping up some of these dark pools of ink with a wet one, baby wipe, whatever you like to call it. But I'm still not 100% happy with it. So I hit it with some isopropyl alcohol. And I love the way that it mutes it down and gives it like a mottly look. So I hit it again. And I'm still really, really loving how this is looking. And it's looking again to me like confetti. So again, I'm going to that place in my mind where I'm making the card. And so I'm liking how this is looking. So I set it aside to dry. And I get this balloon outline die, which comes in a set from Alan Hudson, designed by Julie Ebersol. And it has the words yay and these confetti pieces as well. And so I'm now building the card here because I'm thinking confetti, party, birthday card. And I pop the balloon up onto some foam tape. have birds on my roof of my craft room because it's a shed outside, and they're going to town on the roof at the moment. Sounds like they're having a party. So I stick the balloon down, and I'm getting the yay, and I decide to cut the yay out of white cardstock 3 times, and I'm going to layer it up. And I'm also here deciding how I'm going to put the confetti. So here I am, I'm gluing my white layers together, and I do that with all the letters of the yay. It adds nice dimension without using bits of foam tape. So now I'm going to put this on the card so I get my Misty Creative Corner, and I'm making sure that all this is straight. And I actually go ahead and stick the Creative Corner down to my glass mat so nothing moves. And then I take away the letters, put glue on them and stick them down. Because those of you who know me personally, you know that I like it to be perfect. So here I'm trying to decide between 2 sentiments. So I go with the "It's your birthday." So the sentiment says, "Yay, it's your birthday." So I just stick that down with double-sided tape. I don't want any dimension on that. And then I go ahead and stick my confetti pieces down. And I used 4 pieces of cotton together to make the string for the balloon. And I put some glue on that, and then that adheres it to the card. You'll see in a sec. And I like the way the string's just floating there in between the bits of the confetti. I'm just fixing up a little bit of a mark there on the card. That's my perfection, wanting it to be perfect, coming in there, trimming up little bits and pieces. Take away the tape on the card. And then I decide to add some bling because I can't leave it alone. And I'm happy with how that's looking. That's that card done and finished. So there you have it, guys. There's 5 cards there with alcohol ink backgrounds, all of them different and unique in their own way. I had so much fun making these cards and doing this video for you. I do apologise that it was a bit long, but I hope you get some inspiration to play with some alcohol inks too. Pop on over to my blog, there'll be an entry there in a day or so, and if you'd like to subscribe to my YouTube channel, I would really love that. Thanks for watching, bye for now.